Hello there, and welcome to today's video. It's a cooking video. Uh, Basically, Miss B on the move likes cooking as well occasionally, and I think I enjoy mostly when it's new stuff, when I'm trying my hands on new things. And on this video, I was trying my hands in samosas. This was the first time making samosas, and I had the help of my dear sister as I made the samosas. So you're gonna use cooking wheat flour, and you need water, and basically you're gonna just make dough. And the dough needs to be harder, or rather like more firm than the dough for chapo, and that's what you are doing here. So she was kneading the dough, and I was mostly doing the filming for this day, but there is a point where at least I came in and did some got in there, got my hands all dirty and involved. But for starters, we were gonna make dough, and the dough was gonna be used to make samosa pockets. Samosas have been on my mind for so long. I do not know why it has taken me this long to make, but I am so glad. I used the Eid al-Adha, or is it Idul Adha holiday, to get my hands, working on this. And I was so happy with the results. Obviously, you're gonna see that at the end of the video. So, still kneading the dough. It had to be like super firm. The dough that's on frame currently is enough for a chapo, but then for samosas apparently it had to be more firm than that. So basically just add more wheat flour. So once you are happy with how firm your dough is in the frame currently, you're gonna roll it out into some form of, I don't know, like a long rolled something, and then cut it up as is being shown in the video. So this is just helping with portioning of the dough, because you're gonna move from here and make balls, and then the balls are gonna help in making the circular I'm tempted to call it patties, but then to make them circular, and then from the circular thingy you're gonna make your pocket. So basically she is now making the balls. So the roll, cut them up, that's helping with portioning, and then make your balls as she is doing in the video.
This is my decision. This is my decision.
At that point, I was starting to catch on like how much work is actually needed to make samosas. I really had not watched a proper video of people making samosas so that I could understand how much work goes into this. So I decided to just learn while doing it. And so after she makes the balls, in my mind I thought, well, those are some very few samosas, but I was in for a shock, sort of.
Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me and you. Only me, only you. Only
So once done with making the balls and whatnot, you roll out the balls. Now this is where you make balls, so that when you roll them out, you get this circular, form of the dough. So once you have that, you have to apply oil on top of it and be a bit generous because it has to be enough, because after this you're gonna stack them together, so it has to be enough so that when you stack them together they do not become one. Anyway, we're gonna just see. So the exact thing she's doing here, so you spread your oil on the dough and then add a little bit of flour and then stack another one on top of it. So as you can see on the side there, she had stacked a couple of them. You could either do two, so there's a recipe that you are trying to follow, or a video rather that you are trying to follow, and she was stacking two, and we decided to just speed up the whole process. We were gonna stack like 4 or 5. So this is exactly what I mean. Just spread your oil on top of it and then stack your flour. Sprinkle a little bit of flour. I think that helps with preventing the stacks from sliding off of each other.
You see all these sexy girls in the club. Oh, girl, I wanna hold on you tonight. Every time you walking out the club, girl, I want you to be mine. Girl, I want you in my life. I swear. Teasing me, I feel you feeling me. Your eyes talking for you, make you sing. Focus on me, focus on me, focus on me. Focus on me, focus on me, focus on me, focus on me, focus.
So yeah, once you've stacked those the dough the way you were stacking them previously, now you have to roll them out together as my sister is doing in this video. So we had, I think, 4 or 5 on this stack, and you just roll them out together. Now this is why the oil was so important. Like, you had to be generous with it, because at this point they seem like they have merged into one, but when you place them on the pan, because you have to place them on the pan after you roll them out together like that, when you place them on the pan, if you had put enough oil, they will separate. So place them on the pan. Just make sure your pan is hot, but do not use like too much heat after your pan is hot, because you're not trying to cook them. You're literally trying to sort of harden them and then separate them. So again, the stack, take it and then roll it into, sort of like merge it into one, and this is what you're gonna place on a pan. So at this point you have to make sure it's rolled out, like super rolled out, because you want this thing to be as thin as possible, to a point that it won't break, though it won't tear. You don't want it to be thick, because you're not doing chapatis. Chapatis can be slightly thick, but for samosas they need to be like super thin. So roll them out, place them on your pan like so, and then you have to turn it so that it doesn't cook. The one on the bottom has to be turned and then flip it so that it doesn't cook, because you're not trying to cook them. So this is what I mean. If your oil was generous enough, they're gonna separate like this. So the heat, the effect of the oil and the heat, blah blah blah, and then you get the sheets. Yes, that's the word. You're gonna get your sheets to separate like this. So this process was very, very interesting. It was a bit nerve-wracking. If the sheets are like super thin, you have to be super careful when you are separating them so that they don't tear. And then they are super hot, so you also have to be careful about that so you do not burn your pretty fingers. And then after you're done, you're gonna wrap them in a cloth so that they do not dry out. So this is what we did. We put them in the same basin where we made the dough, and then we just covered them with a piece of cloth. And then the next step depends on you. So for us, we had not prepared the fillings for the samosas by that point. We started with the dough first, or rather the samosa pockets. We did not prepare, we had not prepared the fillings. So once we were done with making the sheets, our next step after removing them from the pan, you can see me struggling here because that thing was super hot. And as we continued, we were taking note of how thin they were. As you can see, this one is a bit thin because you can see the light is passing through it. The first ones that we did were slightly thick, so we made sure the next ones that we did were not as thick. And then after we made the sheets, the next step was to make the pockets. So the pockets are supposed to sort of be like quarter shapes. Since this is a circular sheet, just cut them into 4. And then you have your quarter, and the quarter is the pocket, the samosa pockets. So since we started with the samosa pockets, the next step for us was to prepare the filling. And our filling was gonna comprise of minced meat and then green grams. I think that's what you call them, green grams. So we first boiled the minced meat, and we're gonna like sort of fry it, if that's how it's called, I'm not sure. So we first boiled this. The ndengu was ready already, and then while the mincemeat was boiling, I went ahead to prepare a garlic and tomato dip. And this is how I prepared it. So first off, I peeled my garlic, and then I put them in this sufuria with a bit of oil. I just had to make sure that they were well covered and without necessarily using excess oil. And as you can see, I used a lot of garlic. So once I sort of fried them, this is how they looked. So make sure like not to burn them. They're not supposed to burn. So they're supposed to turn golden brown, and then you take them off the heat. So once I was done with deep frying them, the next step was to mince them. And this is the part that I had to be a bit more creative. So I thought I'd go in with this mortar and just mash them, but from the frying, the outer part of the garlic had become sort of hard due to the deep frying process. So I couldn't use the mortar to get like a thick, consistent paste. So I just decided to blend it up. I was trying to follow an interesting recipe I saw online. This lady was preparing, I think it was shawarma or wraps. But I realized she used mayonnaise, and they didn't have mayonnaise. I had not noted that earlier. So instead of using the mayonnaise, I decided to just use tomatoes to get my dip to be a bit, thick and to have some consistency in it. I also added some onions because I was aiming for something that would be very rich in flavor. And I added a few spices. I added black pepper, just a bit of it. I didn't want this to be too hot because kids would also be eating this. I added turmeric and a bit of ginger as well. And then I put the tomatoes, the onions, and then I blended that together. And I had to make sure it was well blended because I didn't want us biting into anything that would be hard. So once I had done blending this, you can just see the consistency of the paste. I did not want it to be watery at all, and I did not want it to be, and I needed it to be smooth. So this was the result after I had finished blending it. You can see how thick it is. It's not watery at all. And I was checking it while blending to make sure that it was well blended. Once I was done with blending and I had gotten the paste that I wanted, I put it back in the oil. I reduced the oil because I did not want the paste or the dip to have too much oil in it. That will ruin it for me. So I reduced the oil and then I used the same sufuria and the oil, but now less oil. And I had to bring the paste to a boil, but then I wanted it to be a bit more so that it could be easily shareable. So I added ketchup. Normally I'd go in with plain yogurt, thick plain yogurt, but I had not really planned to make this dip. It was very, very like impromptu planning, or so I went in with ketchup because that's what was available in the house, and I knew it would not ruin the whole flavor profile of the dip, and it turned out really well. But definitely make sure that you do not put too much ketchup because you don't want to be tasting the sugar, you want to be tasting the spices. And also add some salt, but be careful with that since it's very spicy. It doesn't require too much salt. I was really happy with the color, and I was happy with the consistency at the end of it and the taste as well. Once my dip was done, the minced meat was ready. We went in with the onions, and then we went in with a bit of the spices, and this was us trying to cook, or rather going in with cooking the mincemeat and the green grams, the ndengo, which we're going to use as a filling for the samosas. The spices that we use for the ndengo and mincemeat: cumin, garam masala, curry powder, and for any meaty stew or anything with meat, I always use black pepper. So those are the spices we use, but definitely use them in moderation. Also add salt, obviously, and then after that we did the green capsicum, the green hoho. We added that as well. We just wanted this thing to be very flavorful on its own. So that's what we did. After this were well cooked, I do not like to taste hoho in food. I like to smell it, but I do not want to bite into hoho and taste that bitterness. So once it was well cooked, the next thing we added was the ndengo and the mincemeat, and then we brought that to a proper boil, or rather we had it cooked like properly, but also do not put water in it to the point where it has soup. We do not want soup today. On the side, we prepared the glue, quote unquote, for the samosa pockets. We just use wheat flour and water, but it has to be very thick. We do not want this to be watery at all. This acts as the glue for the samosa pockets, and we'll see why we need the glue. The oil had been set to heat up, and then hapa sasa the uwanja was set. The samosa pockets are there, they're ready. You can see from I think we had 10 balls. You can see how many pockets we've gotten. And then that's our paste or our glue. That's our filling, and then this is an example. This is one that my sister had already started preparing. So this is where now the actual comes in, and you have to be a bit fast because you have to dip them in the oil, you have to fill the pockets, you have to glue the pockets, or rather seal the pockets, But I really enjoyed this part, honestly. I think I enjoyed the whole process. At this point, my sister was so tired, I just took over with the rest of the cooking. But I just want to say that they turned out so good. The is it a crust? It was a bit hard. It was a bit too hard. So that's gonna be my major point of focus the next time I make samosas, if I make samosas again, because I'd love them to be like very very tender. Anyway, so obviously ensure your oil is hot when you are dipping them. That way they won't stay in the oil for too long and they will not absorb any oil. Yeah, so from here the remaining bit was just filling the pockets, filling them, and then dipping them in the hot oil. And that's gonna be majorly it for the rest of the video. And at the end of the video, we are gonna give a candid review of how the samosas and the garlic dip turned out. I'll just say, because obviously this is after the video, they turned out great, but definitely do watch the rest of the video. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, follow for more, share, and all that. And thank you so much for getting this far in the video. I appreciate it. See you in the next one. Bye.
This is my decision. This is my decision. I don't think you listen. You listen. I don't think you listen. For me to come out, it must mean I'm a teacher. It must mean I'm not the same. It must mean I'm on your case. For me to come out, it means that I'm not the dog. I want to show you my world.
Tunaonja hii, niambie venye iko, alafu uweke hii, ukule pamoja nayo, niambie venye iko. Si ndio? Nianze. So, we're testing out the samosas. First time making samosas, super proud. And then there was this garlic tomato sauce that I also made. Really, really spicy and really nice. So I just want to see if they can, if they are compatible. Yeah. So it's really nice. The filling is really nice. It's not dry, but the outer whatever is a bit hard. So I think that's what I'll work on next time. Now for the major test. Together the sauce. So I found the recipe for this sauce online, and I didn't have mayonnaise as per that recipe. So I did my own creation, and I just want to see if Bado eaters love. So with the sauce, ladies and gentlemen,
I've done it again. In a slap. Actually, you said one there. So I put one there.
Kula.
Mama, tuambie venye iko. Iko aje? Ikiwa na sauce ama ikiwa bila sauce? Ikiwa na sauce ni tamu, ina slap. Ina donjo. So something I'm noticing, once you eat it with the sauce, because it's like really good with the sauce, you don't want to eat it without the sauce. So the sauce is also addictive. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's really good. It's really good. Mkuje recipe ama mwangalie YouTube, nimeposti pale YouTube, yeah? I love it. Hivyo. Hivyo. But ni ngumu. Ni ngumu.
Uma.
This is important. Look.